Welcome to this installment of our video series on religions and philosophies. Today we will explore the fascinating world of Taoism. I aim to provide you with a broad understanding of Taoism, its teachings, and its cultural significance. Please note that I am not a religious researcher, theologian, or specialist in Taoism. I am an enthusiast passionate about reading and learning about various religions and philosophies. If you are interested, check out my other videos. So, sit back and enjoy this journey into Taoism. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. This text, dating back more than 2,500 years, comes from a special book called the Tao Te Ching or Tao Te Ching, also known as the Book of the Way and Virtue. In this Chinese classic, Lao Tzu or Lao Tzu laid down the foundations of Taoism and detailed the teachings of living according to the Tao. So, is Taoism a religion or a philosophy? We can say it's a strange mix of both. At least it's strange to us because Western people separate religion and philosophy. However, in Eastern religions, religion and philosophy go hand in hand, and they never try to distinguish them from each other. Taoism goes beyond spirit realms, gods, and angels, introducing a concept that encompasses the natural religion of humanity. Taoism focuses on the peace of nature, and coexistence with it is its most important theme. But what exactly does Tao mean? What is the Tao? What do Yin and Yang signify? Additionally, what are Li and Qi, and what is the principle of Wu Wei, or action through inaction? Let's find out together. The complexity of the Chinese language necessitates transliteration systems to represent Chinese words in Latin characters, aiding non-native speakers in pronunciation and learning. There are multiple transliteration systems due to the complexity of Chinese phonetics. The Wade-Giles system, now considered outdated, uses T for Tao and Tao Te Ching for Tao Te Ching, among other variations. The more modern Pinyin and Hanyin systems, developed in the 20th century by the Chinese, aim to more accurately convey Chinese pronunciation. Despite this, I often use a mix of pronunciations out of habit. It's important to note that Tao and Tao are essentially the same. The change is only in transcription over time. Taoism is an indigenous Chinese religion, but it is not the only religion in China. The country officially recognizes several main religious traditions, including Buddhism, Taoism, Islam, Catholicism, and Protestantism. Confucianism, while more of a philosophical system, also plays a significant role in Chinese culture. Many Chinese people practice elements of multiple religious traditions simultaneously, respecting different belief systems as part of their cultural heritage. When I first encountered this phenomenon, I was surprised. Most Chinese do not choose between these religions, but live as believers of several at the same time. While this is not true for all Chinese, the peaceful coexistence and integration of diverse religions at such a level is admirable. China can be respected as a culture with one of the most diverse and colorful cultural heritages in the world. In short, China's worldview is very complex. During the Warring States era, 5th to 3rd centuries BC, many philosophers, including Confucius, who lived earlier, circa 551–479 BC, presented ideas to rulers about governance and military strategy. Among them was Lao Tzu, a wise old man traditionally considered the author of the Tao Te Ching. However, the exact date and authorship of this text are debated. Traditional Chinese sources and legends suggest he lived in the 6th century BC and wrote the Tao Te Ching during his travels. Many historians believe the text's complexity suggests multiple authors from different eras, similar to the Bible. The Tao Te Ching exists in many versions and translations, complicating its exact origins. The philosophy of the Tao Te Ching remains crucial to Chinese culture and has fundamentally shaped Taoism and Chinese philosophy. In addition to the Tao Te Ching, another foundational Taoist text is the Zhuangzi, written by the philosopher Zhuangzi. Both texts discuss a universal force called Tao. Tao is described as a superior universal force that stands above all. The Tao Te Ching describes it as something formless and complete, existing before heaven and earth, and pervading everything without limitation. It is like the mother of everything under the sky, though its name is unknown. In religious terminology, we often use the suffix ism to denote a principle in philosophy. The term Taoism reflects the systematic thinking of Tao's power, Although Taoists consider Tao's power omnipotent, they do not worship it as a god, unlike the Christian or Muslim concept of God. Tao means way. In Chinese, the main road is referred to as Tao, implying it is not just any road, but the principal path. This mundane word is somewhat mystified in Taoism. The first line of the Tao Te Ching clarifies that the Tao cannot be fully understood. The Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. This might seem a bit strange. Quoting Lao Tzu, "The name that can be named is not the eternal name." His philosophy highlights the limitations of human language. According to him, the eternal name becomes imperfect when expressed in human words. The real Tao cannot be spoken or fully understood, because we are imperfect beings with imperfect vocabulary and thoughts. Thus, all our expressions are inherently flawed. He suggests that everything perfect becomes imperfect when described by human language. How could we have a perfect word that is so good and excellent that it could describe the name of the Almighty, who is above everything? This is the perspective of the Tao Te Ching. The Tao is the flow of the universe. It is the source of reality. Although it is infinite, it contains within itself complete emptiness or fullness, which alone can create and control the infinitely diverse universe. This may sound somewhat amusing, but the Star Wars screenwriters studied and used Taoist philosophy in the core personification of the Force. To quote Obi-Wan Kenobi, "The Force surrounds us and permeates us. It connects the galaxy." While Star Wars creator George Lucas has cited numerous influences, including mythology, religion, and philosophy from various cultures, the parallels with Taoist principles are evident throughout the series. These Taoist elements contribute to the depth and universality of the themes explored in the Star Wars universe. In addition, the character Winnie the Pooh has also been associated with Taoist principles, primarily through the book The Tao of Pooh by Benjamin Hoff. Hoff uses Winnie the Pooh to illustrate the principles of Taoism in an accessible and entertaining way. It is important to remember that the Tao, like the God of Christianity, never came into being and never had a beginning. It exists in and of itself. This is the concept of eternity, the perpetual motion which always was, always is, and always will be. However, we must not confuse the Tao with everything around us. Although it is the supreme power of everything, the Tao itself is not everything. It is not our environment or the universe itself. Rather, it is the driving force, the cohesive force, and the operator of this universe, which exists within itself and is also found everywhere. The Tao constantly creates, destroys, and transforms. The operation of the Tao is not human-centered, but life-centered, a general force. It has no personality, only strength and will. Taoists do not attribute human qualities to the Tao, but infer its existence and nature from the universe's properties. Although the Tao is unknowable, it still has an order that can be recognized in nature. This type of order is called Li, a word that includes, among other things, the pattern of jade stone or the grain of wood. Li represents a natural, organic order. For example, Li embodies the random yet perfect patterns of flowing water and the shapes of trees and snowflakes. By observing Li, we can see the operation of the Tao, similar to how Christians understand God's attributes from creation. Since Tao is the root of all existence, the universe takes care of itself perfectly. It is the rhythm of life that rises from the earth, grows, matures, decays, and finally returns to its environment. The rising sun that sets on the horizon and repeats this cycle daily is an example of Li. The Li can be recognized in everything that leads to the Tao, and everything that leads to the Tao is Li. All this happens without force or visible effort. Change is the only constant in our world. However, this change is regular, recognizable, and fundamentally good. This is the Tao, at least as I understand it so far. One of the main paradigms of Taoism is that we are unable to describe the workings and essence of our world with our limited human brains and language. In one of the books I read, it was explained as follows. Human thought tends to create boxes in which to place learned concepts, but the Tao cannot be confined to a box. An analogy that may help is imagining our human mind and language as a bucket, while the Tao is a river that we want to contain within our small bucket. This is both incomprehensible and impossible. In other words, we humans are like ants staring at the moon. Taoism aims to help people feel the Tao, see it in nature through the observation of Li, and most importantly, live harmoniously with it. Since this is the main goal, there is a specific term for it, Wu Wei. Wu Wei, in its most basic sense, means not to do or not to act. Lao Tzu confusingly talks about Wei Wu Wei, meaning non-doing that comes from doing. Wei Wu Wei is a paradox that means passivity based on action. According to a popular etymological interpretation, the word wei denotes action based on social or personal expectations rather than general activity. Wei is the act you perform when you think something is socially or morally required. Wei, according to Daoism, is acting through a rigid mindset. Since the universe is always changing, if you try to navigate it with a fixed mindset, you will feel discomfort. Consequently, Wei Wu Wei is also an action, but it refers to action without intention. Instead of simply not doing, this expression means acting without force, for example, without swimming against the stream of the Tao. One of the recurring metaphors of the Tao in the Tao Te Ching is the metaphor of pu, or the uncarved wood. The idea of an uncarved wood captures the essence of the Tao, which is difficult to describe. The simplicity and naturalness of uncarved wood, the lack of uniqueness yet preservation of creative potential, embody the Tao. Uncarved wood can become anything, holding infinite value and possibilities. Taoists believe that humans, shaped by language, enforced morality, and selfishness, are carved out of raw material with infinite potential. Continuing this thought, Taoism believes that man became the way he is because his environment shaped him. We are frail, imperfect, selfish, and unjust because the environment in which we live is like that. This perspective contrasts sharply with the Christian biblical worldview regarding the relationship between the environment and the individual. Christianity believes that our world is fundamentally sacred, while Taoism believes that our world is fundamentally profane. The only way to move with the Tao is to break free from rigid, inflexible perspectives. We must stop thinking with our imperfect minds to separate ourselves from nature and its process. We must not think that we are outside the stream or that we have any power to influence the Tao, dictating where the ceaselessly trickling stream flows. We all stand in this stream whether we like it or not. According to Taoism, we have only two choices in life. We can row against the Tao or drift along with it. Now let us take a closer look at the symbol of Yin and Yang. Taoists see the order in the world. Things grow out of nature, mature, grow old, and eventually die. According to them, this cyclical process is always true, orderly, and predictable. This cyclical pattern is called Yin and Yang. The yin-yang doesn't represent existence and non-existence, but rather opposing qualities that complement each other. Importantly, the symbol doesn't split into good and bad opposites, as it inherently represents balance, which is always good. The lack of balance is what constitutes bad. The essence of the symbol is that there is a pair of opposites, like strength and weakness. These opposites complement each other and cannot exist without each other, which is logical because there would be no basis for comparison otherwise. For example, there cannot be something above without something below, and there cannot be something small without something big. As seen in the picture, each half contains a bit of the other, indicated by the two dots in the symbol. This allows them to turn into their opposites in extreme cases, so balance never tips too far. It simply reverses. Let me give an example. There is an old large tree and a young small tree. The old tree is so hard and rigid that it becomes weak in a storm and can be easily uprooted. The young tree, however, is so soft and thin that it becomes strong and can withstand the stormy wind. Thus, the weak becomes strong and the strong becomes weak. Qi, the life force. The concept of qi is central to Taoist beliefs and practices. Qi, which means breath or air, symbolizes the life force that animates all things in the world. It represents the vibratory nature of existence, manifesting as continuous flow and tremors at various levels, from the molecular to the subatomic. Qi encompasses the materials and energies that compose and connect the universe. This includes solids, liquids, gases, magnetism, electricity, spirituality, thoughts, and willpower. Similar notions of a universal life force exist in other cultures and religious traditions, known by different names such as Ki in Japan, Prana, or Shakti in India. In Taoism, everyone is born with a certain amount of Qi, which they use throughout their life. By cultivating good qi through breathing exercises, diet, and meditation, one can live longer and connect more deeply with the Tao. Taoists see heaven, earth, and the body as interconnected, and stimuli in one area affect all others. Hence, Taoist practice involves rituals, faith, physical exercises, meditation, and diet. Practices like Tai Chi and Qi Gong are practical applications of cultivating qi. According to Taoist cosmology, the two most fundamental forms of qi are yin qi and yang qi, the primordial feminine and masculine energies. Many Qigong practices utilize heaven qi and earth qi, as well as the qi that emanates specifically from trees, flowers, lakes, and mountains. The Daoist Gods. While Lao Tzu is considered the founder of Taoism, the organized structure owes much to Zheng Daoling, who received a revelation from Lord Lao. This led to the formation of the Way of the Heavenly Masters. Taoism includes numerous gods, but their worship is more about practical rituals and achieving harmony with the Tao than traditional worship. Lord Lao revealed that heaven operates as a celestial bureaucracy, and Zhang and his followers were given access to celestial bureaucrats who control human destinies. This led to the formation of the Way of the Heavenly Masters. Despite being the first organized group to practice Taoism consciously, the organization's formal presence didn't last long, but its ideas profoundly influenced future Taoist groups. Taoism does not have a god in the way that the Abrahamic religions do. There is no omnipotent being beyond the cosmos who created and controls the universe. In Taoism, the universe springs from the Tao, and the Tao impersonally guides things on their way. But the Tao itself is neither God, nor it is worshipped by Taoists. However, Taoism encompasses a multitude of gods, many of whom have been adopted from other cultures. These divine figures exist within the universe and are subject to the governing principles of the Tao. Most of these deities serve specific functions rather than representing personal divine beings, often holding titles rather than individual names. The most important deities in Taoism are the three pure ones, San Qing. These are considered the highest deities in Taoism, representing the three aspects of the Tao itself: heaven, earth, and humanity. The Jade Emperor is one of the most important gods in Chinese folk religion, and Taoism is believed to be the ruler of heaven and earth, and the head of the celestial bureaucracy. The Eight Immortals are a group of legendary figures who attained immortality through their cultivation of Taoist practices. They are often worshipped for blessings in various aspects of life. The god of wealth is revered for prosperity and abundance, worshipped particularly during the Chinese New Year and other auspicious occasions. In addition, in Taoism, gods are placed within a celestial bureaucratic order, each responsible for specific aspects of life, such as Yue Lao for marriage and Zhong Kui for demons. The Tao, an infinite order above everything, is not personified. Therefore, Taoism, while acknowledging various deities, is not polytheistic. It is a pantheistic and philosophical religion, seeing the divine in the universe and nature itself. What does pantheism mean? Pantheism is a philosophical belief that equates the universe or nature with God, or sees God as identical to the universe. In pantheism, the divine is not seen as a distinct, separate entity from the natural world, but rather as inseparable from it. This perspective often emphasizes the interconnectedness and interdependence of all things, viewing the universe itself as divine or sacred. Now, let's look at the religious texts in more detail. The Tao Te Ching is a series of short poetic statements about the way and its power. It is relatively short and can be easily read in the afternoon. However, its wording is often confusing, making interpretation challenging. Some of its sayings include, "A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step," which is easy to understand. Others require more thought. "A good knot has no rope, but it can't be untied either." Or, "Rule a large country as if you were cooking a small fish." These statements may initially puzzle the reader, but they all carry deep meanings. For instance, Lao Tzu wrote advice about ruling, such as, "The best way to rule is not to rule like Wu Wei." This means to let the world live in a natural way that brings harmony and peace. The Tao Te Ching can be interpreted in many ways, leading to numerous translations. Interestingly, it is the most translated book into English after the Bible. While it was written to teach rulers, the Zhuangzi was meant for ordinary people. In this book, A wise man is someone untroubled by concerns like politics and money. A wise person can easily overcome life's obstacles. It emphasizes that our perceptions are unreliable, and how we see life depends only on our experiences and cultural values. Our views of good, bad, beautiful, ugly, death, and life are all shaped by our experiences and the environment in which we interpret these concepts. It argues that these artificially created constructs violate spontaneity and the natural flow of happiness. He illustrates this with the example of two people falling off the same carriage at the same time, one drunk and one sober. The drunk person doesn't notice what's happening, simply gets up and continues as if nothing happened. However, the sober person, aware of every moment of the fall, is terrified, remains on the ground, and doesn't get up anytime soon. If you think that these books are the only holy books of Taoism, you are mistaken. In addition to these two, there are approximately 1,500 Taoist writings that believers accept, read, and incorporate into their religious life. These include texts like Liezi or Lao Tzu. Attributed to Lai Yuku, this text contains stories and philosophical dialogues that complement the teachings of the Tao Te Ching and Zhuangzi. Daozang, also known as the Daoist Canon. This is a vast collection of Taoist scriptures, rituals, and commentaries compiled over centuries. Huainanzi. Compiled by scholars under the patronage of Luo An, this text covers a wide range of topics, including philosophy, cosmology, and statecraft from a Taoist perspective. The Nu Qing Code, which deals with controlling demons, lists 36,000 demons that can be warded off by knowing their names. In conclusion, Taoism emphasizes humility, acceptance, and justice. Its teachings reflect an understanding that human perception is limited and cannot fully grasp the universe's workings. Taoism educates its followers to live harmoniously with the Tao through practices that promote balance and interconnectedness. If you have any thoughts on Taoism, please share them in the comments. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and share it with your friends. Stay curious, stay brave.